on, Scrub Gamers? Welcome back to another video here at ScrubGames, and today we have a deck profile, and this one going over my Iden Mill list that I've played in the webcam locals last week, which the gameplay was out earlier this week, so you should have seen all the games before this comes out. And I'm just going to go over my list, because even though this is I do love my double aspect decks, I really like the double aspects, but with set 1, it's quite a small card pool, so they're not as great. So I was going to wait. I was going to hold off and not play any double aspects anymore until we get the second set when we get a bigger card pool. But Iden is just quite a nice fun one. I do like Mill as well and things like that. And I do like my control decks and Star Wars. And I thought I'd try it out anyway, and I had to have a lot of fun with it. So I thought I'd share my list and also probably go over a bit of like some improvements I can make for set 2 as well. So before we get into the video, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. It keeps you updated with my videos as when they drop. But if you click the notification bell, you get alerts when my videos do drop, so you can watch them there and then, or a later time that suits you best. So that out of the way, let's get into it and kind of go over the list. So this is a double aspect deck, meaning it has it's double blue, so it's double vigilance. We have a vigilance base and a vigilance leader, because Iden is vigilance and Villainy, and our base is Dagobah Swamp, being just 30 health based with no effects, and vigilance as well. So a quick look at it. We got Dagobah, and then we've got Iden. So I've gone for Iden because this is called Iden Mill because you're technically milling out, but then the problem with Mill in Star Wars, it isn't an alternate win condition. You don't instantly win as like other games when you make your opponent basically run out of cards in deck. Instead, Star Wars has a thing where if you do run out of cards in your deck, you then start taking damage to base, which is 3 damage for each card you don't draw. So if you can't draw 1 card, 3 damage. You can't draw both 2 cards when you start your draw phase or your resupply phase, then you take 6 damage. So it technically is not win condition, but it's not as effective one like insta win like it is in other card games. But then it just makes that the only way to actually win the game is to do enough damage to base to equal to the health on the base. So 30 damage or 25 depending on what base you use. So the thing is that you don't really use the mill aspect unless you're against other control decks. Otherwise, you just go try and out resourcing and stuff like that. So it is mill. It's more mill for the control decks, but then it just works as normal as a control deck for other ones. And I've gone for Iden's a better the preferred choice for the mill, because ideally, because the way you mill is by using vigilance, which is a double blue, double vigilance, double aspect event, which is for the vigilance aspect being the blue one, and every aspect's got one of them. Every aspect's got a legendary event, which is 4 costs, double aspect. That is the name of the aspect it's for. And for the blue one, it's called, of course, called vigilance. And one of the options is to make your opponent mill the top 6 cards of the deck. So you get the option to mill on that, and it's really the only. Well, there's some cards that kind of mill, you've got some outside of Vigilance is mainly the Spectre cards that kind of make you opponent discard from the top of the deck. So Spectre's got a bit of mill, but they're scattered across everywhere, and Vigilance just is basically most effective in making guaranteed mill 6. So you have different mill, and kind of the problem with it is, whereas a double aspect card, if you don't run the double aspect, so you have to run both a blue leader and a blue base, then you have to pay the aspect penalty, which is 2 for 2 extra resources for every aspect that doesn't match. So if you're playing just a blue leader or a blue base, you have to pay 6 for it. Where if you have both a blue leader and blue base, you have to just pay the normal cost of it being 4. So I've gone for Iden for a way to do it, because 1, I want to play I want to basically pay for vigilance as cheap as possible, being 4. So kind of it helps as well. Vigilance is a very nice way to kind of help against aggro decks as well, and paying 4 for it rather than a 6 is a lot more cost effective, meaning you survive a lot better than you do if you have to pay 6 for it. So not only that, but also I want Iden is probably the best leader to go for control if you want to go double blue, because the options out there, if you want to go the dark side, which is 75% 1, you only got 2. Krennic isn't as great as Iden, because Krennic's got better stats when it deploys, and deploys I think a little bit earlier. It only has healing when it's deployed, and if it's taken out after it's deployed, you don't then no longer keep the healing, but you then get the other benefit of kind of making things stronger when it damage, which isn't that great in my opinion for what you want to do for this. Whereas Iden's got a way to kind of get healing both when she's deployed and when she's not deployed, and it's very effective. Like essentially, when you're playing control, the whole thing of control is controlling the board, so making sure that if your opponent puts something out, you take it out. And then you basically just one for one until later on in the game. When you get to later game, you can start over like taking advantage and out resourcing your opponent. So you're like keep constantly just one for one trading throughout the game and taking out their stuff, which then triggers Iden, which she can whenever an enemy unit is defeated, she heals 1, and she does that by tapping in the leader area, or just when she's out every time it happens when she's deployed. Now she does deploy not the earliest at 6 resources, so as early as turn 5 because we don't ramp, but she does come in shielded, and she has 4/4 for a stat. So 4 damage is pretty nice, but 4 health is quite weak. It means she's susceptible to takedown. So that's one of the problems is she can easily be taken down by like one of the few cards that can like forcefully take out a leader. So you have to watch out for that. But then she comes in shielded to protect herself, but the nice thing is she offers heal on both sides. That's the main thing. So we don't really care about too much about deploying. The fact that she's a blue leader to go with a blue base to make vigilance cheaper, and also she has healing to help you survive the game a little longer, a little bit better aggro compared to most control decks. So that's the leader, and across the base I went for both Dagger plus 1 because I like the look of it better than the capital city. So that's the only reason. But you want a 30 health base because if you want it, you can go for security complex. But the benefit of gaining a shield by sacrificing 5 health on your base isn't worth it because there's not much you really want to that shield can really help, like probably in situations it can, but it's not worth losing 5 health on your base. So we want to go 30 health base because it helps you survive longer and potentially basically just survive longer. But that is the leader and base combination. That's basically the reason we're going for that. And then we're going for the deck. So we'll start off with the actual units we play. So we'll start off with the ground units, then we go on space units. Then we'll go on to the events, and then and we'll go on to the side afterwards. So for ground units, we've got regional coverage. So do remember that because we're playing double vigilance, double blue, we have a very limited card pool set 1. So some cards I'd be in here that you probably think like not the greatest, but then where you're locked into like a very small card pool, you have to run certain cards just to make sure you get that 50, and you want to run the most effective ones. So remember that where we're running double aspect, we're sacrificing the whole ever aspect to have access to for the access to the 3 cards that have double aspect, being Vigilance, Bendu, and Protector. Now, while we don't use some of them and mainly use Vigilance, it is worth it. But then as we get more sets, it'd be more approved. So don't if you look see any cards and see like why they're in there, remember limited card pool. So going on with that, we got Regional Governor. It's a nice 2-cost unit, 1/4, pretty decent stat, especially for turn 1. And this has a really nice effect where when you play it, you can name any card in the game, and then while this unit is in play, your opponent can't use that card, so it can't like play the named card. So if you like play it in cool Red Squadron A-Wing because you don't want to be attacked from the space, and they have it, they can't play it. Or if you want to like just cool like in the mirror like Restock or Super Laser Blast, you can do that and still often play those cards, or you can still play them, which is quite nice. So play 3 copies because it'd be very handy, and it's not too bad for an early start card, and it can help you on for later games as well for certain situations. So it's pretty nice there. Then we got Lieutenant Charlon. We got 3 copies of this, and this is a very nice card. And I didn't really see how great it was until recently with more control decks. Like in the beginning of the game, looking at this, it's like that's not great. A 4-cost 2/2, and yeah, it wasn't great. But then it's a 4-cost 2/2. It has Sentinel, which helps against aggro, forcing your opponent to swing into this before they can go to your base or any other units. And not only that, but it's also got when played, which allows it to boost itself, which in a double aspect deck is a lot easier to pull off than in dual aspect, because its effect is you reveal up to 4 vigilance cards from your hand, and for each card revealed this way, you give an experience token to each unit. So if you reveal 4 vigilance cards, you give an extra 4 experience, which takes up to 6/6 and 4 resources for a 6/6 with Sentinel. Is very good because that can be hard to take down. And even if they try to take it down, it's going to take a few cards to take it out, and you're just sitting there pretty defending your base and other units as well. Now remember, because we're running a double vigilance deck, I think all the cards apart from 2 are vigilance, so you should have like when you want to drop this, you can get like up to most of the time 3 to 4 experience on it, which is very nice. And yeah, just very helpful to help defend against aggro is the main thing. So you play 3 copies of this because, remember, limit card pool, and it's just actually a great card. Then we got Cargo Juggernaut, so this is one for the later point of the game because it's a 6 cost, so it does require 6 to play. It does have pretty solid stats at 4/6 as well, so not too bad on the power, but very bulky. Also comes in shielded like a fair few units, like along with your leader, a fair few units come in shielded as well. And when it is played, if you control another vigilance unit, which you should hopefully be able to do because you're playing mostly all vigilance, then you heal 4 damage to your base. So this is nice because it establishes you in later game something that actually start helping control the board unit wise or pushing damage to the base, while also healing your base to kind of make you last longer in the game. So we have 3 copies of this because it's actually a pretty nice card. Then we got 3 copies of Count Dooku, so this is a nice bit of removal, and just like a Cargo Juggernaut your leader, it comes in shielded as well. It is a bit more costly at 7, but it has some pretty nice stats because it has 5 power, so pretty hefty on its attack, but only has 4 health. But then again, being shielded means it's protected once, and it's more like a glass cannon kind of thing. It comes in, pops something, because it's when played is you may defeat a unit with 4 or less remaining HP, so it helps control, and also triggers Iden, because remember Iden's effect is when an enemy unit is defeated, you heal 1, either on both sides. So this triggers more like healing with Iden, plus removing something from the board and establishing something you can attack with. What also comes in shielded, meaning that it's going to be protected from damage once. Because I think I haven't explained what shielded does. If you're new and don't know what it does, basically shielded makes it so when you play the card, you put a shield token on it, and a shield token essentially, when you take damage, while you have a shield token, the next time you take damage, you move a shield token instead. So it means like, well, it come out shielded, and the first damage they take loses the shield instead of taking the damage. So we've got 3 copies of this. There's quite a late game one, but then again, you establish things to start pushing damage on bases, and also controlling the board will also, trigger the heal for Iden. Then we're on the space units, and we've gotten 3 and 4, and this is probably the better of the first turn plays, because once again, it's a 2 cost, comes in quite like for first turn. It's got some pretty good stats as well, 2/3, which is pretty solid first turn play. And it's got an effect which triggers both when played or when defeated. So when you first play it and when it's eventually defeated, you get a look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put any number of any number of them on the bottom of your deck, and put the rest on the top of your deck in any order. So it's actually filter your turns, makes you manage what you're going to see for your for the next draw. Because you play it, you look at the top 2. If you don't like either of them, you put both at the bottom. If you like one and not the other, you put the one you don't like at the bottom and keep the other one on the top. If you like them both, you can keep them there and put them whatever order. It doesn't matter. This allows you to make sure you're seeing what you want to kind of like controlling what you're going to see next, for next turn. So if you like the cards, you keep them there. If you don't like them, you bottom deck, so you can hopefully see cards you do want to see. It's a really nice card, and the fact it triggers both when played or when defeated means you get multiple uses out of it, especially as long as it's not defeated the same turn that you play it. That's the only thing. So you've got 3 copies of this because it's a really nice card, and also looks quite nice in hyperspace. Then we got 2 system control crafts. So this is just to have some more units that actually kind of push damage can help, because just like Charlton, it has Sentinel. Doesn't have the greatest stats, but not too bad at 4/3 for a 4 cost. But more it's a card you can play in the space race, and also Sentinel, so you can if you go and be an attack from space, you can then divert the attacks from your base, or mainly from your base, because you don't play much, to himself as well. So we only play 2 because it's not the greatest unit. Vigilance is the best option. It does have some really good options for space, but doesn't have a wide variety compared to other ones. But this is a nice one to have for certain situations. Then we have Avenger, one of the better units in the game for Vigilance, and one of the 3 legendaries you'll be running in this deck, and at a full place as well. And Avenger is very nice because it was another card that procs Iden the heal by basically removing things, and also is a way to kind of how you're going to establish control the game after doing a board wipe. Because while it's hefty at 9 drop, it's a late game card, but it's got solid stats at 8/8, so it's pushing a big amount of damage and can take a decent amount of hits. And its effect is both when played on attack, so the turn you play it, plus every time it attacks afterwards, you make your opponent choose a non-leader card they control and defeat it. So while it doesn't defeat the leader, which is not too much of an option or a problem, it makes your opponent kill one of the cards. Now the problem with this is its effectiveness depends on how many units your opponent has on board. Because if they have very few units, it's a lot better, because the opponent's got a less of a choice on what they want to kill, and if they only got 1, they have to kill that 1 card if it's not a leader. But if your opponent's got a lot of cards on board, they've got a better choice on what they want, and they're most likely going to kill off the one that they care less about, or keeping the other ones that kind of they want to keep there. So bigger boards, it's got less impact for, but then smaller boards, it makes a lot more of a bigger impact. So that is all the units we play. So we don't play many units because we're playing control. We're not really caring about like putting loads of stuff out. We're just making sure that we're using like units up there to either like control the board, like give us something that we need, or even just allow us to put damage or like heal to again kind of like take control of the game and then supply damage to the board there towards their base. So going for the events, we have one copy of repair. So originally I was running Bendu because I thought that'd be quite a nice one, because not only is it a Never Sentinel to kind of help with the against aggro on the ground arena, but it also had a nice effect where it also has pretty decent stats at 4/7 for its 6 cost. It also made it so if you while having Sentinel, it allowed you to attack. Well, when you attack with it, make the next card you play that's not heroic or villainy 2 cost less for the next one you play. So it means you can like play Vigilant for 2, or even like play Regional Governor for 3, kind of things like that, or even play Cargo Juggernaut for 4, things like that, to be more cost effective and also have a decent unit on board. But I would decide to go for like a repair, because then it's a never 1 cost unit to kind of help against things like Relentless, which green will like have main decided to help deal with control decks that have a lot of mainly rely on events, because then it's a cheap unit, cheap event to basically like trigger off the first event that gets negged, and then play another one that kind of take out Relentless, or even just be a helpful healing as well, because it helps you survive a little bit longer, because its effect is for 1 to heal 3 damage from a base unit. So it's got the utility of either healing 3 damage from your base for 1, which could be very handy, could actually help you keep in the game, or even heal damage off a unit to help it survive a little bit longer, like healing 3 damage off Charlon could be very impactful, or even Avenger to stop it from being within range to be killed by something like Takedown and stuff like that. So we only got the 1 because it could be useful, and if it's not useful, you can always resource it. Then we've got Parry Dioxide being the next one. This is a very nice one, and it's just guaranteed removal, just guaranteed way to trigger Iden. And just like Avenger, it's more impactful with a smaller board than it is a larger board. Because if your opponent's got a smaller board where they've got like 1 or 2 units, they've got less of a choice, because the effect is to make your opponent choose a unit they control and defeat that unit. So if they've got 1 unit card on board, they kind of have to kill that 1 unit no matter what, even if it's a leader. That's one of the nice things about this, they can even kill leaders, and it's very helpful in that way. But if they got a wide board and you use Parry Dioxide, they're going to choose the like kill off the card they don't really care about much. So just like Avenger, less effective on a wide board, but more effective on a small board. Then we got Make an Opening. So this is a nice one, given the small card pool. And what is free cost? It gives you a bit of healing, also helps like kind of like finish things off, or make things easier to remove, or either finishing things off, making things easier to remove, or even just make it so something does less damage to you. Because for free, you give a unit -2/2 for this phase. So either like if it's taking enough damage and it's like 2 health remaining, this can finish it off, or even make it something smaller so that way you can kill it without taking too much damage back, or use it to kill if they're out of range for a normal attack. And also, as well as that, you heal 2 damage for your base. So you minus something by 2/2 and heal 2 damage for your base, which would be very impactful and very helpful. And also, if this does kill anything, that is then removal for Iden, and then heal another one, potentially healing 3, which is quite cool. Then we've got I'm Your Father. So this is one of the 2 cards that aren't Vigilance we have in the deck, and this is a very nice one because it has dual options. So either takes out is either removal, which is very handy, or it is a draw 3 card, so like almost like a Pot of Greed if you've played Yu-Gi-Oh. So there's a free cost Villainy unit, well Villainy event, and the effect is deal 7 damage to an enemy unit unless that controller says no. If they do, you draw 3 cards. So technically, you could use it on your own unit and then say no, so that we draw 3 if you really want to, if you really need the cards. But then normally you're going to be using your opponent's cards, and the predicament they get put into is they either take 7 damage to their unit, which most of the times can be taken out. Like there's not often you're going to use on a card that won't be taken out by it, so you're going to mainly use it on something that was in range where 7 damage will kill it. And your opponent's either going to lose their unit because they've taken 7 damage to it, or they're going to say no and give you 3 cards. And the problem with this is you win either way essentially, because you're either dealing 7 damage to a unit and taking it out, or you're getting free cards that have more options, especially since in the beginning of the game and throughout the game until you get to late game, you're normally drawing 2 for your turn and resourcing 1. So you're always basically getting a plus when it's not your turn by drawing a card, but you're usually drawing 2 for turn, and out of those 2, or from your hand, you're resourcing 1 and using a card to remove something off the board. So you're normally using up the 2 cards you draw every turn, so you're not really gaining a hand size, you're just keeping a normal hand size, because you're using a card to keep removing something off the board. So they play something, you remove it, you play something, you remove it, more you're trading 1 for 1. So gaining 3 extra cards to have more options to kind of help do that, or even just like keep control of the game, is very nice. So your opponent either gives you 3 cards, which could be more cards, more options for you to kind of help deal with their stuff, or they lose the unit, means you haven't got it there to kind of push you down, to kind of aggro you down, which is beneficial either way. Now there are some matches you might not use this, like against aggro, you might not want to use this because your opponent's just going to say no, let you draw the 3 cards, but it doesn't matter because you've paid 3 to not remove anything on your board, well they still got it to keep aggroing you down, especially if they're like a proper aggro deck like Sabine and stuff. So against certain matchups, it's going to be horrible, and even especially against the mirror, this is always going to be useful because your opponent's never going to want to give you more cards than them, like 3 cards. So we're going to take the 7 damage instead. So it's a very nice one, and puts a. This is one that probably causes a bit more time to be used during a game because your opponent's going to decide debate whether they want to take 7 damage or draw cards, which can take a bit of time out of your game. Then we've got 3 copies of Search Your Feelings. So this is a really nice card, and it's the only card in the game that I recall that shuffles your deck. Most other things, they put things to the bottom of the deck and shuffle, like put in a random order. But this is the only card that actually shuffles. So it's got a benefit with like things like Restock, where if you put something to the bottom of your deck, you kind of want to draw into it a bit earlier than wait for your entire deck. Then you can use this to kind of either find it straight away or find something else and shuffle that card, shuffle your deck. So your cards are anything that you've been putting to the bottom of your deck is now anywhere in your deck, which is quite nice. And it's such a great effect because it's just literally search your deck for a card and draw a card, which is an amazing effect, but it's very balanced by the fact that it costs 4. So it's quite a hefty cost of 4, but it gives you anything you want in your deck, so you can set up for future turns, or set up for the turn after, ready to do something like even such your Vigilances, your Avengers, like Charlon, things like that. You grab whatever you want from your deck, which is very handy, especially when you partner with Restock, when you want to put cards from you back in your drop back into your deck, you find them straight away with this. It's very useful. We have 3 copies of it because it's very handy to just find it, remember, limit card pool. Then we got 3 Vigilance, so the mainstay of the deck. So this is double aspects. We're playing Iden with a blue base to make sure we can pay it just for 4, not have to pay it for 6. And it's very powerful because it only costs 4 and it gives you any 2 of the following options. So like we said, discard 6 cards from the top of your opponent's deck, so the mill option. Heal 5 from a base, so it'll be yours or your opponent's, mainly yours. So that's like the healing. You got defeat a unit with 3 or less remaining HP, so removal, which also helps trigger Iden to kind of heal. And then you got protection by giving a shield token to a unit. So if you're against a control mirror, then obviously you're going to use potentially all 4. But against any other thing that's not the control mirror, then you're going to be using only the bottom 3, either healing your base for 5, defeating a unit with 3 or less HP, or giving a shield to each token unit. Because it could be really handy, because imagine that, both healing 5 from your base and giving a shield token to Charlon, who's then like a 6/6, meaning like your base is then protected, or even then just using the option to give a shield token to Charlon and kill something on their board that has 3 remaining HP. Or even if you haven't got Charlon, you can normally just go ahead and heal 5 from your base and kill one of the units. So you're then killing one of the units, healing 5 from your base, and then Iden's then seeing that something's been killed, so she can heal 1 as well. So you potentially heal 6. So very nice combination, and it depends on the situation if what you're gonna go for. But it's got effects for any situation essentially, which is really nice. Then next we got some instant removal cards. We got Takedown being a really nice one, and this is one that can kill leaders as well, as long as they're within range, because it's a 4 cost, but it allows you to defeat any unit with 5 or less remaining HP. So it's not like other cards that say non-leader unit and stuff like that. It can any unit, be it space, be it leader, be it ground, as long as they got 5 remaining HP, you can take it out. So even if a leader unit is like out of range and higher than 5 HP, you can do a bit of damage to it, and then, or even like reduce it with like make an opening, stuff like that, and then use it'd be a target for this. So this is nice because it like insta kills some things, like insta kills Iden, insta kills Chirrut the turn it comes out, and even insta kills Sabine as well. So there's like some leaders that it can instantly take out. But some of them, you can always just damage them a little bit, so they're within range to take them out as well. So this is one of the along with Super Laser Blast and Parry Dioxide, are ways to kind of take out leaders that could be troublesome. And the next card we have is Vanquish. So this is a card that defeats anything that's not a leader. Literally just for 5, kill anything that's not a leader no matter what. Doesn't need to be a certain range or anything, it just insta kills it. So this is nice to take out some of the bigger units we see in later games, like some of the cards that cost like 8 or higher, which is very handy. And play 3 copies of this because it's just very good removal. And then we got Super Laser Blast, basically just one of the best removals in the game because it just, what is quite hefty in 8, it can take out absolutely everything on the board. So everything on the board, yours and your opponent's, gets wiped out. And since you're not really establishing much, by the time you get to 8 resources you can play it, you haven't really got anything on board. And if you do, you probably have like Inferno 4, which gets the benefit of being defeated, and you're just going to wipe everything out. And then this is one of the best plays because once you wipe everything out on board, if your opponent then after that just plays 1 card and then you take the initiative, you can then drop Avenger straight after to kill that unit and then take control of the game after that. But this is a nice card, just basically wipe the slate clean if your opponent tries to go wide or just establish things on board, and they do more than just once, so you can't keep just going trade 1 for 1. Then this is a great way to just wipe everything out. So we play 3 of that. Remember, we've got it is a bit more expensive than most decks for this one because you've got 3 legendaries, being Avenger, Vigilance, and Super Laser Blast that are all played at 3 and are quite vital cards to the deck as well. Then next we've got Entrench. So this is a very great upgrade. Now it's a very cheap one at 2, but it gives a very nice one because for 2 it gives a +3 power and +3 HP to a unit. But the only drawback is that unit now can't attack bases. That's the only thing. So it gets a huge buff, but it can't attack bases anymore. And you can use this both for you and your opponent as well, which is very nice. So you can either use it like a normal upgrade, like most people use them by putting on your units to make your units stronger, but it can't attack bases. But that's fine because putting on Charlon and turning from a 6/6 to a 9/9, like while he can't attack bases, they have to go for him to attack bases, so it's not too bad. And he can basically just then swing at your opponent's units to take him out because he can still, while he can't attack bases, he can still attack units, so you can clear your opponent's board. But then they have to still go for, like, while he can just take out your opponent's board, they have to go for him to get to your base and stuff like that. And then the other way you can use it is put on your opponent's units. Now, while you're boosting your opponent's units, which might sound crazy, you then, if there's like on your side for that arena to attack into, that unit can't attack because they can't attack bases. If they can't attack bases, they have attacking units. And if you've got no units, while they have entrenched on them, they can't attack at all. So one of the nice things is when your opponent deploys their leader. So then, like leaders that have like 1 attacks, like Boba Fett and stuff like that have effects that trigger when they attack. You can stop those from even triggering and basically just stay there in limbo, unable to be used by putting entrenched on them. Like if you put an entrenched on Boba where you have nothing in the ground arena, they can now never like really attack to kind of untap 2 resources if they remove something from your board because they can't attack with it because you've got nothing on the board. You can't attack your base, so they're not getting that untap they were getting before, and where it's not in the leader area to use, they can't make use of it there, so they're just getting no use of their leader at all. So 3 copies of this because it'd be very handy to hold off of things, and even things in that if you don't have anything in Space Arena, chucking this on like a home once they can't attack with it means they basically have to worry about that unless they want to play a new one to replace it kind of thing. And then the last card we've got to bring us up to 50 are 2 copies of Restock. Now this is there for the mirror because, as I said, the way you're winning the mirror is by milling out and taking making your opponent take damage from the from milling, from not being able to draw cards, 6 damage every resupply phase, which means after 5 turns not being able to draw 2 cards, then that's it, it's over. And you want to avoid this happening to you because in the mirror you're both going to be milling each other out, hopefully, and controlling the game. So you kind of want to give yourself a contingency to stop it. And what Restock does is, for 1, it allows you to put up to 4 cards in the discard pile, shuffle them, and put them on the bottom of your deck in a random order. So this is a very nice one that basically restock your deck. So how's it there? So you have cards basically to keep drawing in, so you're not taking the 6 damage, you're always constantly drawing. And how it works is where the card goes to the drop before it resolves. Restock essentially can allow itself to choose itself. They put as the 4 cards, so you can play Restock, choose itself, and 3 other cards, put back the shuffle, and put the bottom of your deck to help you not deck out. And if you're worried about your opponent potentially vigilant to you, or like not drawing Restock and then milling you out and losing that Restock, you don't have to choose 4. It's up to 4, so you can choose just Restock and as never card you really want. Put those 2 cards as the last 2 cards back in your deck, and then next time you get guaranteed to draw them because they're the last 2 cards in your deck. So do remember you can use it in that way. And that is the entire deck. So that is the 50 card deck for the main. And we will go to the side deck and have a look and see what I've got side, because I do have some cards not as effective, or some cards like seem quite good, but haven't been really used. Some cards are really good, very effective. Some cards are all right. So this is the side deck, and as you see already, because we've got in the main and got on the side, we've got the restock. We've got the third copy of restock, so we've got that for the mirrors side in to make sure you've got more restocks, because you don't want to lose all your restocks against the control. Because if you lose all your restocks, that's it. You're not going to restock back. And if they have theirs and you don't have yours, you can have a horrible time, because they're going to be able to like make sure they're not dying from the mill damage while you are. But outside that, we've got 2 Del Miko as well on the side. This is a nice helpful unit to kind of put attacks on events, because it's got a nice little effect where each event an opponent plays costs 1 more. So while you be paying like 3 for Parry Dioxide, your opponent will have to pay 4 for their Parry Dioxide, things like that. So it's a little bit of attacks, and it's pretty nice because while it's got 3 cost, it has pretty decent stats for its cost. So you're being a free, so 3 cost, 3 power, 3 health, and also has restore 1s. Every time it attacks, you heal 1 of your base, which adds to the longevity of the what you're able to do. Then we're going to skip this one because we're going to go on to the next one, being Spark Rebellion. So we've got 3 copies of this, and this is once again another card for control. So like how we got Restock for against Control Mirror, we also got Spark Rebellion for the Control Mirror as well, because as we said, restocks can be a bit pesky, where your opponent can keep restocking their deck, and if you don't mill the restocks and you have them in hand, you're going to keep them there safe, ready to use for once you've like passed your turn or passed what you're going to try to do. They're going to restock when they know it's safe to do, and then basically put the cards back so they can go straight into them. And Spark is a really nice one. Now, while it's out of aspects by 2, so it's where you don't share any aspects on it, you're going to be paying an extra 4 for this. You can pay 6 for this, and 6 might be hefty for what it does. But it's a really nice card because it allows you to look at your opponent's hand and discard a card from it. So you get to look at your opponent's hand and can choose what you're going to rip out of it. So while it's 6 cost, it's really nice because if you can rip out things like Relentless and Restock for your opponent's hand and the Control Mirror, that's worth it, because you know those cards that are a problem that you don't want them to have are now gone. So rip out their Restock from their hands so they can't basically try and stop themselves from milling out, while you can keep milling them out, make them then lose on a timer to the draw damage. And if they're coming up to a turn when they can drop Relentless, you don't want them to do that. You can always just Spark Rebellion. So if they got Relentless in the hand, hopefully they don't draw it on the next turn, and just rip it out of the hand so they don't have it to use. It's really, really handy. You probably see me play it, use this really effectively in one of the games previously, like Control Mirror for the final game, and it is very nice and very effective. Like all 3 copies, it's very good, because when you're not really playing much in the Control Mirror, you're not really establishing, because if you establish something, your opponent's just going to take it out for you. You can use a turn to pay 6 for this. Just make sure you're taking out something problematic in your opponent's hand, and then just continue on the game. Now these two kind of go together, because what we've got is 2 copies of Relentless and 2 copies of Galactic Ambition. Because once again, just like with Spark Rebellion, we're not we have to pay an aspect penalty on Relentless, because while we do share the Villainy aspect, we don't share the command one. So while it costs 9, which is already quite hefty, the aspect penalty you have to pay 11 for this if you want to hardcast it. And hardcasting this for 11 is not worth it. It's not worth it at all, because while it's very nice for the Control Mirror as well, because as you can see, we're attacking more for the Control Mirror, because we don't really struggle too much against aggro, where we could play things cheaper like Vigilance for cheaper, and actually like have a bit of healing in Iden as well. So we're mainly doing like siding for the mirror, and Relentless is a nice one because it's got same stats as Avenger, being 9 cost for 8 power, but it's got a very nice effect where the first event each opponent plays loses all his abilities. So if you don't want to play any, they have to use an event and lose it, while use and lose an event which costs resources to do, to kind of bait out the first one before using something they want to try to do to remove it. And this is really nice against the mirror. But I haven't really used this, but a way to kind of get out cheaper is Galactic Ambition. And Galactic Ambition is a 7 cost event, Villainy 1, and you can play a non-heroic unit from your hand for free, so you have to pay resources for it, but you deal damage to your base equal to its cost. So you can technically, if you have both these together, you can use a Galactic Ambition, the power Relentless for 7 rather than 11, but then take 9 damage to your base, but then you can always heal that off for like, Vigilance and stuff like that. But it allows you to get out Relentless a little bit earlier against the mirror, or like ever control decks, and also out rather than waiting to play 11 for it on turn 10, and basically have it out. But I've never really used this because the only problem with these two, while I have it there to try out, I haven't really tried out, because you've got to get these two cards together, and where like you're kind of like tight with your hand for the beginning of the game, it could kind of impact you. But in the late game, if you get them together, you can just chuck this out and it's really handy. And if the opponent can't get rid of it, or needs to take quite a few cards to get rid of it, you can just basically benefit off that greatly. Now, I always normally side in Restock and Spark Rebellion. I haven't really sided in Relentless Exact Ambition, but it is an option there I've wanted to share for if you want to try that as well. And then Dalmiku's never, like, when that's a good unit, you can take out something that might not be useful. Like if you don't need Restocks for aggro, take those out for some more units like Dalmiku that add a bit more healing and a bit of a better unit on board. Now that is the entire deck, so if you do have any suggestions or anything like that, feel free to comment down below. If you have any questions about anything as well, also comment down below. I'll help as best I can. And remember, like, suggestions are always helpful, because while I might have think I thought about everything or what I want to do for this deck, I might not have thought about everything and like miss some stuff. So it could always be helpful suggestions to kind of help me improve the list and also help you as well if you got any suggestions, if you want to try something out. So that's it from me. If you want to do check out this game in action, well, this deck in action, do check out the gameplay from this earlier this week from me using this in my webcam locals, again for 3 rounds using against different decks. So that's it from me today. Thank you for watching, and feel free to comment, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.
Like a boss.